The boardroom froze as Daniel Cole stood up, his janitor's uniform stark against executive suits. Blood pounded in his ears. "Don't sign the $4.2 billion deal," he said, voice stronger than intended. "If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of small moments to change lives, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness True Stories. Also tell us in the comments, where in the world are you watching from?" Cameras flashed outside. Reporters awaited the historic acquisition. Alexis Monroe, 34-year-old CEO of Monroe Industries, locked eyes with him. Her pen hovered over the contract. Security moved toward Daniel. His daughter's future hung in the balance. The former Wall Street prodigy, now cleaning floors, had exactly 10 seconds before being dragged out. Alexis raised her hand, stopping security. "Everyone out," she commanded, "except him." The room emptied, a symphony of shocked whispers and scraping chairs, leaving only the two of them amidst the polished mahogany and glowing screens. The weight of the silence was immense. Alexis leaned back, studying the man before her. The defiance in his eyes was not the insolence of a disgruntled employee. It was the cold, calculated fire of someone who knew something. "You have 60 seconds to explain why I shouldn't have you arrested, and still sign that paper," she stated, her voice like ice. Daniel took a deep breath. The ghost of spreadsheet numbers and red ink flashing before him, he began to speak, not as a janitor, but as Daniel Cole, the youngest partner in Berkshire and Crown's history, the man who had engineered the merger that had ultimately destroyed him. He spoke of the TechVision acquisition, not from the sanitized prospectus, but from the inside. He detailed the hidden liabilities, the offshore shells concealing catastrophic environmental penalties, the artificially inflated user metrics, the culture of systematic fraud that would, within 18 months, collapse like a rotten floor and take Monroe Industries down with it. He used language she understood, leveraged buyouts, poisoned pills, regulatory landmines, his words precise, devastating, and utterly convincing. Alexis listened, her face a mask, but her mind racing. The due diligence had been exhaustive, yet what he described was plausible. A cancer hidden deep in the tissue of the deal. "How could you possibly know this?" she finally asked, the ice in her tone cracking. "Because," Daniel said, "the memory of physical pain. I built the original fraud for them. 7 years ago, TechVision was my client. I was the architect of their growth story. I sold the lie until I believed it myself, until it consumed everything." His gaze dropped for a moment, seeing not the boardroom but a different room, a hospital room. "I lost my wife, my career, my name, and almost my daughter when the first cracks appeared, and I tried to expose it. They ruined me. I disappeared into this uniform to keep my daughter safe and fed. But I've been watching, every night cleaning this building, watching this deal take shape. I couldn't let it happen again. Not to you, not to the thousands of people whose jobs you're about to sacrifice for a phantom." Alexis stood and walked to the window, looking down at the media scrum. Her father had built this company from the ground up, not just as an empire, but as a family, a community. She thought of the post-acquisition reduction list, the cold calculus she had reluctantly approved. She had seen Daniel's name on the janitorial roll, a mere number to be outsourced. But this man was no number. He was a warning from the past, a ghost in a janitor's coat holding the key to her future. "The due diligence," as she started, but he interrupted, his voice softer now. "Was done by Albani Financial, correct? John Greer's firm." She turned, nodding. "Greer was my protege. He knows the truth. He's being paid to look the other way. Check the Bahamas, holding company Veritas Shell. The transfers are there." Alexis moved to her laptop, her fingers flying across the keyboard. Minutes ticked by, each second stretching into an eternity for Daniel, who stood amidst the remnants of the abandoned signing, the aroma of expensive coffee and ambition hanging in the air. Finally she stopped. The color drained from her face. She had found the thread, and with one pull, the entire tapestry of the deal began to unravel before her eyes. She looked at Daniel, truly looked at him, the weary lines around his eyes, The calloused hands, the unwavering stance. Why come forward now? Why risk everything again? Daniel thought of Ava, of the promise he had made to be a better man, a truthful man no matter the cost. Because sometimes the floor needs to be clean, he said simply. And this deal is poison. Alexis closed her laptop with a definitive click. She walked back to the head of the table, picked up the ornate pen, and without hesitation, scrawled void in bold, black letters across the signature line of the $4.2 billion contract. The sound was final. She then picked up the internal memo listing the departmental cuts and tore it in half. The janitorial staff stays, she said more to herself than to him. She met his gaze. You're not a janitor, Mr. Cole, not anymore. I need someone who can see the poison in the champagne. I need a director of ethical audit. You'll answer only to me. The salary will reflect the gravity of the position and your daughter's medical needs. Will be covered under the company's premier plan. Daniel felt the world tilt. It was more than redemption. It was a restoration of purpose. He nodded, 1,000 emotions clogging his throat. Alexis pressed the intercom. Please ask the board and our Tech Vision colleagues to return. And send in the head of PR. We have a new announcement to make. As the door opened and the confused, expectant faces began to stream back in, Alexis leaned toward Daniel and spoke quietly, for his ears only. The world is about to see two very different things. They'll see a CEO who just avoided a catastrophe, and they'll see a janitor who stopped a $1 billion deal. She allowed the faintest smile. But you and I will see the truth. We'll see a man who came in from the cold. Daniel took his place. Not in the shadows by the wall, but at the table, as the cameras flashed once more, capturing not an end, but a shocking new beginning, where the most unlikely hero emerged from the silence of the night. Shift to change the fate of an empire. Thank you for reading this gripping tale of redemption and corporate intrigue. If you were captivated by the collision of two worlds and the shocking truth that saved an empire, then you'll find more stories where courage comes from the most unexpected places. For more compelling narratives that explore the power of truth, the strength of the human spirit, and the moments that change everything, subscribe to my channel, Kindness True Stories. Dive deeper into worlds where every choice matters. Hit that like button if this story resonated with you. Share it with someone who needs a reminder that it's never too late to do the right thing. And subscribe to Kindness True Stories for your regular dose of powerful, heart-stirring content. Your support helps us bring more of these illuminating stories to light. Join our community on Kindness True Stories, where every story is a journey back to humanity.